Welcome back to my channel, and this time I'll review my first legal thriller book that I read, and this is John Grisham's The Street Lawyer. So, talking about this book, it was approximately 100k word long book, which means approximately 100,000 words, and it had 348 pages in this hardcover BCA edition. It is written by John Grisham, who is into like legal thrillers. Also, this was his ninth novel. So enough of the description about the book. Now let's talk about the story. So the story begins with a man called Devon Hardy entering the firm and like capturing nine of the lawyers and people like that in the conference room, and then an incident happens. He is talking to the lawyers and he's asking about how much money they make, how much tax they pay, and like he's just asking them, when they make so much money, why don't they help the homeless people? And his intention is not to hurt anyone. He's just there to interrogate about why these rich lawyers are not doing anything for the homeless people who are struggling and dying on the streets without getting help from anyone. And this is not exactly like all the poor people are just begging and doing stuff like that. Many of the homeless people mentioned in this novel were actually from good background or were trying to do something at least to make their life worthy enough, but they were deceived by many law firms and like people who had power, and so they ended up on street, and eventually many of them died because of starvation and stuff like that. So Devon Hardy died because when the police entered the building, they did they just killed him when they saw him in the conference room. But this was just like first 20 pages of the novel. The story then begins about how Michael Brock, the main protagonist and the narrator of the story, evolves as a person. He's not having a great marriage, like he's having trouble with his wife. They don't even talk to each other. They are just busy working and they are just busy living in their own way. They are just a couple like for this because they are married, and so like they are a couple for that reason. And soon they are planning to split up, but Michael now is worried more about what Devon Hardy said and about who he was. So he approaches a small firm lawyer known as Mordecai Green, and this Mordecai man is like he's a black lawyer, and the word is used this way, like the author has described him as a black lawyer who is working for the homeless people. And so like Michael Brock meets Mordecai Green, and then they talk about the current situation of the city in which the story has set and how the homeless people are struggling there. Soon Michael takes a break from his job, from his well-paying firm, and then he visits small local churches and works for the homeless people, and he's inspired by helping others. He is feeling empathetic when he saw that people are just craving for food. They're not even looking up who's giving them the meal. They are just eating that food because they are starving for days and nights. So stuff like that. So before leaving Drake and Sweeney, his firm, he steals a file, like a file of a lawyer, which is quite thick. So while he's going to get that copied, he like meets an accident, and then the file is lost, and it ended up in a local police station where he has been questioned by the policeman why that file was there in his car while he like encountered the bus or something that crashed with his car. So the story then moves further, and like there are around 200 pages just focusing on how he's going all around the city working for the homeless, how he's making himself comfortable in an office that is not even 1% close to the comfort level of the place he had been. Like his law firm, Drake and Sweeney, had like mahogany table and chair. They had air conditioned. There were separate file cabinet drawers, and here in that local firm with Mordecai Green, where he's working for the homeless people, there is a chair and a table, and that's all. That's it. Like there are other things, but they are not in a pattern. Like one chair is green, another chair is brown. They both are like these chairs are squeaking, and like author has described these things very perfectly. I think the flaws of this novel were that in the middle, I don't think it was dragged, but just to set up the story, I felt that the thriller part of it was missing slightly, and even sometimes the dialogues were pretty lame, I would say. But most of the time the dialogues were excellent. Like there was some nice quotation that I'm not able to like mark with highlighter and stuff like that because I don't annotate, but there were excellent dialogues. And the best part of this novel was that even if you're not hooked with this book because of its law and legal aspect, you would be hooked by this book because of the writing style of John Grisham. He's writing thrillers that are so easy to understand. Like, his language is not uh, that like easy. He's using the terms that are involved in legal stuff, but the way he is using them, the sentence structure, the simple sentences that are formed in efficient manner, that even a normal person who is aware of the words but never uses them would realize that the book is written so perfectly. Like, the writing part was best, even though story might seem like a bit slow, like at points. Like, the pace, this novel starts very amazingly. Like, it's so engaging in the first 50 to 60 pages that you would just keep reading it in a one go, but then the pace declines, and that is when, like, you can be distracted slightly. And but that's it. Like, apart from the variation in pace and a few dialogue things, I think this book was very good. And also, there was no development of romantic interest for the protagonist, which was absolutely great, because not every novel should have that thing. Some books should be like this, like about the topic to the context. We don't need a protagonist to fall in love every time he meets a female or male character, or whatever character he meets. Okay, so this was it. It was a very nice book, but still I'll give it a 7.5 out of 10, or a 3.8 out of 5. It missed a few points just because I guess there were a few things that lacked the aspect of thriller, because I picked it up as I thought it would be a thriller. It was because of my expectations, nothing personal or nothing wrong with the author. Like, it's all good, and I will definitely pick another John Grisham book soon. Like, in a month or two, no, no. Like, within 3 months, I'll pick another John Grisham book because his writing was good. And I recommend this book because you will be amazed how homeless people live and how tragic their life is. I felt guilty because at a point I was thinking that I'm here sitting at my house enjoying and watching Office and reading books and doing stuff like that and doing nothing that is productive and good for others. But it's okay. When I'll be of an age and then I'll have duties and responsibilities, I'll do my work too. So that's it. I don't want to go into the guilt part, but you should read this because it gives an insight on how homeless people live. And I'm shocked that I'm talking about this book so long. I usually don't talk that much about the story. I talk about other things, but the story is very good. And also, one more thing, the author has made characters very interesting. Like, the protagonist is interesting for sure, but there are times when author just use one paragraph to describe a character or a homeless person. Like, he just used one paragraph and you will be aware of the character's backstory, how they look and stuff like that. So that was amazing. So writing wise, the book was 10 on 10. Story wise, it was 8 on 10. Dialogue wise, it was also 8 on 10. And the change in pace was something that I thought made me put this book down when I was not, like, when I felt like going, but I felt that it had potential, or it was a page turner to a very good extent. So thank you for watching, and make sure you hit the subscribe button.